Hello friends. Today we will be unboxing the Ender 5S1 3D printer. I spent a long time choosing a printer for myself and settled on this model. Judging by the reviews on the internet, this printer is considered better than average. I have a limited budget, so I settled on this model. I hope that I took a good printer and it won't let me down because this is my first 3D printer. Now I will collect and test with you. Let's go. Well, friends, I finally assembled the 3D printer, already tested it, and I'll tell you what problems I had. There are certain nuances with setting up this printer. This will be a raw review because I have only been testing for a few days and will tell you what I was able to understand and how to work with this printer. Let's first tell you about a negative experience. I didn't adjust the printer correctly along the Z-axis, and I ruined my magnetic pad, which, as I understand it, is magnetic. Now I'll tell you how I ruined it so that you don't repeat my mistakes. Next, I used the glass that came as a gift when purchasing the printer. I want to say right away that I like glass much more than the magnetic plate. Setting up the printer on a glass plate along the Z-axis is much better than on a magnetic one because the glass does not bend. The printer nozzle moves almost perfectly smoothly and there are no irregularities. The magnetic spacer is convenient because it bends and removing the part is easier, but the glass is more even. Let me show you how I ruined the magnetic stand. I burned a hole in the center with a hot nozzle. Scratched the line because it was hot. And in the end it actually hit me so that the motor jammed. I'll now show you what not to do to avoid repeating this, and I'll show you how to do it. After we have connected the printer to the network, we need to turn on the toggle switch. Then the extruder clicks and the display lights up. The instructions are in many languages and there is even Russian. Now I'll show you how to set it up. Here are a few printed parts I've already made. I'll show them closer to you but a little later. We see such a display in front of us. On the display there are 4 tabs on the left and control tabs on the right. These tabs show you information in real time, and while printing is in progress you can adjust settings while printing. Here you can select the printing speed, the error along the Z-axis with which I made a mistake, and also select the heating temperature of the platform and the heating temperature of the extruder. Let's move on to the next tab and see what's there. The second tab is our printing. We insert the SD card and on the monitor we see and select which files are needed for printing. The third tab is for adjusting and moving the nozzle and table. I have not yet fully understood these settings. Here you can set different temperature settings. If we now set 220 degrees here, then the nozzle will start heating up to 220 degrees. I still have to figure this out. The fourth tab has a table leveling function. When you assemble the printer you will need to level the table. We press the alignment method button, the extruder finds the central position. Then a probe comes out and the platform begins to rise. This way he finds and determines where the table is. He does this quickly at first and then again at a slower speed. I have already configured and adjusted the printer, now I will show you how to do it. You will need to do exactly the same, after which the nozzle will stand next to the table. Along the Z-axis you will have 0. In order to adjust the distance there is a special sheet. It also contains important information about what kind of plastic it can print with and the recommended temperatures are indicated. 200 grams of PLA plastic is placed with the printer. The sheet also indicates what fan speed to set. There is also information on the internet about what temperatures to print different plastics at. PLA plastic is printed from 205 to 220 degrees. I noticed that at 220 degrees the print quality is higher. Now play with the temperatures yourself. The back sheet shows how the plastic layer should be laid. Take the sheet and push it between the nozzle and the table. this sheet should not rub much against the nozzle but pass through. I have plastic sticking out of the nozzle from a previous print, so I can't put the sheet in now. We press the number 1 and the nozzle moves to the central position. Then we insert the sheet and make it so that it barely clings. Next, press button 2. The printer moves to the second position. In the second position, we also insert the sheet between the nozzle and the table, and it should also barely touch. Height adjustment occurs using wheels that are located at the bottom of the table. When you turn the wheel, the rod will raise the platform up, and you need to ensure that the sheet barely touches the extruder. We do it as we did in the middle of the table. Then we move to the third position and do the same procedure as in the second position, only with a different wheel. This must be done with all points. In this position, they're exactly the same as in the previous ones. As you can see here below, there are 4 adjustment wheels with which you adjust the distance to the nozzle at all points. This way we achieve the most even table possible. Next, click on the 5th position and adjust it. We make the adjustment using a sheet of paper and then move again to the 1st position. In my case, after adjustment in the central position, the paper almost did not cling, but there was a good grip at the edges. Next, you need to click on the 2nd tab to automatically measure the error. We press the start button and the printer reads all the irregularities and remembers them, so that when printing starts it takes into account the unevenness of the table surface. The probe begins to read the table surface from left to right, and on the monitor you see the reading process as a percentage. The magnetic substrate has its advantages. When you have printed a part, you can bend the magnetic substrate and remove the part without much effort, but on glass you will have to use a spatula or a thin blade. Now I'm showing you a spatula that comes with the printer, with which you can separate parts from the surface, but in my experience you need to find a blade that is thinner than this spatula. After he checks that the table is not level, he will move to the center position. As you can see, the nozzle is in a different position from the table. If the distance is too large, the first layer will not stick to the table. If the distance is too small, the first layer will smear too much on the table. Just about the overlay of layers is indicated on a special sheet. It indicates how your printer will print if you do not adjust the printer height correctly. The distance should be 0.1 mm from the extruder to the table. To achieve the perfect application of the first layers, here we need to adjust the position along the 3rd line. The adjustment is located on the right side of the monitor. For you it will be at position 0, but for me now it is at position -1.77. Using these numbers, I achieved the ideal position from the nozzle to the table. Take your time in this process. As I made the distance too small and because of this I ruined the magnetic substrate, in this process be especially careful and take your time. And also do not heat the nozzle while adjusting the Z-axis, so as not to burn the substrate like I did. We exit this menu and now we need to insert the plastic into the extruder. I'll show you how to do this now. There is a flag on top. You need to press it to the side and then insert the plastic there. Next, select the 3rd tab on the display and press the Input/Output button. First, set the nozzle temperature to 205 degrees, then go to the Feed tab. In it we indicate 80 and press OK. As a rule, 80 is enough for the plastic to start coming out of the nozzle. If suddenly it's not enough, then we add 10 more and wait until the plastic starts to come out of the nozzle. When the plastic stops coming out, the printer is ready to print. If you need to replace it with another plastic, do it in exactly the same way, only using the unload button. Also set it to 80 and wait until the plastic rises. And then click on the flag and pull out the plastic. Now I will show you the result of how the printer prints using two examples that come on a flash drive. Now I'll show you a closer photo of the parts that were printed. Now you see the figurine of a hare that I printed. The print quality is good. I like the result. The ship was also printed very well. In order to print your own products, you will need to learn design programs. There are two types of programs. One is for technically precise products where ideal dimensions are needed. Two, there are programs for creating, for example, figures such as a bust of a person or something similar. You will also need to master the slicer program. The slicer transforms the part you have developed into layers for printing on a printer. The slicer turns out to be an intermediate program in which you can set various printing settings, support and speed, and much more. Now let's try to print my personal design. This is a housing for an LED lamp. We inserted the flash drive into the printer, then go to the Print tab. In the slicer, I have already set the required table and nozzle temperatures, as well as the printing speed. I chose mine and the name of the selected project appeared at the top. Next, press the Start button, after which the table first begins to warm up and then the nozzle. As soon as the required temperatures are reached, the printer starts working. As you can see, the process has completed. Let's now peel the workpiece off the table and look at the result. The slicer has two types of supports. I like this one better so far as they are quite easy to remove. Here is the print result. As you can see, everything is at a fairly good level. I hope the video was useful. Subscribe to the channel and have a great print.